Brother Dr. Alim, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk about what I'm sure is on everybody's mind, dealing with the swine flu,
Sure.
the vaccines. A lot of has been going on in the media, particularly now since they're looking at some of the legislation that goes into possible mandatory vaccination. But we want to call to mind your expertise or your experience and what you see, being aware of this for quite some time, to explain to us a little bit about what this, not a little bit about, but much about what this means to us in the whole swine influenza area.
Yes, well, thank you for being on top of this issue and bringing so much energy and leadership to it. And it is vitally needed. Talking about swine flu vaccinations, swine flu epidemic, pandemic.
Yes.
It's a complicated topic, but it is very, very important.
Yes, sir.
That we come away with some fundamental understandings, because the potential exists in this issue to completely depopulate large areas of the world. Now, there is some of the history where swine flu is concerned that may make everybody feel somewhat complacent.
Right.
Some of us are old enough to remember the swine flu scare of 1976.
Right.
That
right.
fizzled out.
Right. That's right.
And the government officials who were involved with it and promoted a vaccine at that time became laughing stocks.
Right.
And so it was like the boy who cried wolf. After it didn't happen the first time or the second time, then after that, his cries of wolf were ignored.
Right.
And so we're in that kind of a situation where many people are not necessarily paying close attention to what is taking place and what the potential is for great harm coming to many, many people. So I really applaud your efforts, in keeping the issue at the forefront, and perhaps our discussion about these issues will bring some clarity.
Yes.
And maybe some simplification of a very complex issue.
Right.
I hope we don't go to the point of oversimplification, but in fact it has to be understandable to people, and
Yes.
perhaps we can do that.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, with your, because a lot of times we've heard, as you know, we have the believers only community forum, which we have a discussion group called Understanding the Dangers of Vaccination.
Yes.
And some of the believers, or some of those who participants, have posted various videos from different people, doctor this, doctor that, from YouTube. So it's a lot of things being said. So it is right now a very confused issue on top of the complexity. But we know, you're serving as our Minister of Health and Human Services for the Nation of Islam, in the insight that you have based on the teaching that we've been given, which is a simple teaching in one instance, but it makes us look at the simplicity of it.
Yes.
So this is why I was eager, and I've told some of the people on the forum that we would be getting together to discuss it, to mine, if you would, your depth of knowledge and understanding, to somewhat set the record straight, kind of smooth things out, so we won't be lost, as they say, in the sauce of all the confusion.
So maybe we could just start with where we think we are now.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And this is early August.
Right. Yes, sir.
And a month or two from now, everybody who's watching this video is going to be faced perhaps with the decision of whether to be vaccinated against swine flu or not.
Right.
and there's going to be a huge media campaign. It's already started.
Yes, sir.
And there's going to be a huge amount of pressure from the government in the direction of mass vaccinations.
Right. Yes,
so let's just take a look at where we are right now.
Okay.
The 4th of August, 2009. Just 4 months ago, at the end of March, beginning of April, that's when the first reports started surfacing about something going on in Mexico.
right. Yes, sir.
And it grew and grew and grew, and there were some deaths that were attributed to a strange virus, and eventually that virus was identified as an H1N1, so-called swine flu virus.
Yes, sir.
Since April, where it began in Mexico, now this H1N1, so-called swine flu, has been reported out of 194 countries.
Right.
So it has gone global in 4 months. Now, the greatest outbreaks that reached the media in the United States was in New York. The largest number of cases happened to be in the state of Wisconsin. Some of the early cases were in California and Texas, but as we speak, virtually all 50 states have reported outbreaks of the swine flu.
Yes, sir.
Now, it's called swine flu for reasons that aren't exactly clear.
Right.
If we look at the genetic structure of this particular virus, it has genetic components that are found in viruses that infect swine. It also has genetic components from viruses that infect birds, and it contains genetic elements that are found in viruses that infect humans. So there are 3 species that are involved in the makeup of this H1N1 so-called swine flu virus. It could just as easily have been called bird flu. It could have easily been called human flu.
Okay.
But for reasons that aren't really clear, it was called swine flu, as though to imply that swine were responsible for infecting humans, when in fact there is no evidence to date that any swine have been infected with this virus, except one report in northern Canada where a Mexican farm worker, a migrant worker, who apparently had been infected with this virus in Mexico from humans, went to Canada working on a swine farm, and he infected a herd of swine.
Right.
So I guess from the point of view of the swine, you know, this is a human flu that is plaguing them.
Right.
So there's some confusion right from the beginning over what this really should be called.
Yeah, because sometimes they use that term novel, you know,
Yeah.
never before seen
Yes.
type of novel H1N1.
Well, there's even confusion on that point as to whether or not this actually is a novel virus that has never been seen before. If we take a long historical view, there was a virus that was also apparently a swine virus that emerged on an army base in 1918.
Okay.
This is when the United States had decided to enter World War I. There was a huge military mobilization, and part of the historical context at that time was that the nation as a whole, not just the military, but the nation as a whole, had been subjected to a newly developed pertussis vaccine.
Oh.
Okay, so this is in the early days of mass vaccination. The whole country apparently had been convinced that they should line up